Hey YouTube family, it's your girl Jazzy, getting jazzy with jazz. And if y'all want to have a good time, YouTube family, just like I do, come on over. And I need y'all to go ahead and do this for me, like, comment, and subscribe. And then we're going to get the party started. Good morning, YouTube. So, good episode. When I tell you so, great episode. This was The Chi, season 7, episode 7, Unfinished Business, and extending all of the S's. So, Jada throws Darnell a B-Day blow. They both, she tells him happy birthday, at their house. And then they both exchange, they like to get high. So they both just have a little smoke together. And then Jada, it runs. She running to the doctor. It runs to the doctor for her. And then she at the doctor. And she gets devastating news that her cancer has attacked her pancreas. And that was not the news that I was expecting to hear. And then she was of the assumption, she told her doctor, well, it's okay, we can beat it, I can just do chemo. And the doctor says that you can, but it won't save her life. And I was just done through the whole episode because I'm like, no. And then she says, as soon as possible, get all of your affairs in effect. So I just was like, wow, that's just a lot. That was just a lot for me to watch. And I said, okay. And then Dom tells Lene about Jamal. And she says, what if he doesn't make it? And then Dom says, we have to be positive. And we have to, have a positive mindset. And Lene says, but what if he doesn't make it? And Dom says that words have power and stay positive. And you will see this in the episode. You got to stay positive with Jamal situation. And then it shimmies to Jake and Reg and Brandon's cousin. And then the weed man, if y'all don't remember, he asked, who would try to unalive you? He was asking Reginald. He was asking Reg who would try to unalive you. And then he gonna say, Shad. And I'm like, you, okay. And I said, you wrong. And loud as helly. I said, you so loud and wrong, Reg, and you not even thinking. You have to think deeper. Because, why would Shad want to unalive you? And we're going to see why I'm saying, why would he? And then Jake said Shad would not try to unalive you, but his woman would. He said the rich lady I showed you would. And then he like, then Brandon's brother said, shit, Alicia, that's Q and Sonny's sister, right? And then Reg said, how was I gonna know? How was I gonna know? He don't know their family tree. And he said, I said, you supposed to know that, dummy. Remember, you used to roll with Q. That's me saying this. And then he fired back saying, I don't know his whole family tree. Am I supposed to know his whole family tree? Like I had just said, he said he ain't supposed to know his whole family tree. And I'm like, okay. And then Jake says that her son was alive and she gonna smoke everyone. And then he also says also his baby mama too, he had a baby moms pretty much. And Reg want Alicia's location. Like Khalid, send me the location. Send me your location, just in case y'all forgot the Khalid song. And then I was told that, he said I was told that she stayed with Alicia. And I'm like, and Reg's gonna tell Jake that he needs to tell the mom to protect him. I said, look at him being all soft and all that stuff and this and this and that. I'm like, nah, Reg, you supposed to be all hard. Like hard. Like a hard piece of ice. Frozen ice. Titanic ice. And then we shimmied on to Bakari, and he revealing that the detective came to see him. And he said that we unalived Douda, but Rob didn't do nothing. And then he telling Nuck this now. Then, key word, Nuck said that he disrespected him. So he had to say, he had to make a point pretty much. He had to make a point that, disrespect. I'm like, Nuck, stop. And then tried to get Alicia to unalive Reg for him. And he said he was trying to protect him. And this was Jake was telling Nuck this. He said he tried to protect him. And then he says, no emotion. He gonna tell Jake. And then Jake just tells him to lay low. And then he said, and then he just left. And I'm like, okay, so if somebody trying to look out for you and you see the boy got your protection at hand and all that stuff, you don't care about that. You don't care about being unalived on the streets, because it's gutter. It's real gutter in these streets on this show. You know that. And then we shimmy to Keisha in the bed at home saying that she don't want to, put out like Emmy, because he started squeezing over trying to get some and all this stuff. And she said that she been running around the house with 3 kids and pregnant, and she tired, and she has the right to be tired. And he said he understand. I'm like, do you understand? Are you listening to listen, or are you listening for understanding, really, Emmett? And then it pans back to Shad, Vic, Emmett, and Key. They all at Darnell's house talking. And then Jake is unalive. They thinking that Jamal is unalive. Pretty much. They all be just shooting the shit. This the men's corner that Darnell hosted his house. And all the men's was there. All the men's was there in the place to be. And then Shai said he not unalive. And then Shai said that he tried to visit Jamal and they wouldn't let him in. And then Darnell pretty much was saying that, well, and then somebody said, I want to say it was Key, and I want to say it was Shad. They were saying that he said they wouldn't let me come up there. And then Darnell was the person that said, well, they married now, because he was saying, well, Dominique up there. And then Emmett said, yeah, I forgot. He telling his daddy, he forgot. Yeah, they are married. So she family, so she can be in the room with him. And then it's shimmy to Bakari revealing that Detective Tucson came to see him, and he said that we unalived Douda, but Rob didn't do nothing. And then, key word, Nuck said that, of course, he disrespected him. And he told him to lay low. Off that part, and off of Keisha and Emmett talking, and then it went back to Jake, and then Jake, bossed up to Nook. And then he said, did you want to try to unalive my brother? And he said, if he tried to unalive your brother, then he would be 6 feet under. And I'm like, do he not understand what he's saying? He know that these people in these streets on here is real. So I'm like, Jake, come on now, my brother. And then said to let his brother know if he need anything from the mom. And then I'm like, hold on though. Hold on. Jake bossed up asking Nook if he tried to unalive his brother. And then he said if he did, he would be, I already said that. And then he said if he need anything now. Nook said if he need anything, then let his brother know that if he need anything from the mob, let him know. Need something from the mob, let him know. And then Shy, Vic, and Emmett, and Darnell, they, of course, I did not really get to that part, y'all. My bad. Okay. And then Shy, Vic, and Keith are all at Darnell's house, of course, and then for the men's corner and all this stuff. I already went over there. And then he said that you trying to come back to the streets because Victor was just pretty much saying that ain't nothing gonna change if we walk out the door and we don't make a change. If we walk out the door and it's still the same. And then that's when Keith says, so you trying to come back to the streets? And then he said, only if y'all coming with me. And Darnell told Keith, you just got out. You need to keep your head up, keep your head down, and nose clean. And of course, he had a look. You know how his look be. And it shimmies to Papa looking on Master Marshawn's podcast. And that's y'all know who Pastor Marshawn is. I can't remember the man's name right now. And then he was looking at that podcast, and then he shimmied like Papa. He had the audacity to go down to the church house, Pastor Ezekiel, and then Pastor Ezekiel says that why he talking about me? And then he was just pretty much saying, okay. He was just pretty much saying that Pastor Ezekiel has betrayed us with a clear person on his arm. And then, oh Lord, when he said that, then it shimmy back on to Emmett telling Keisha to stop cooking, that he has sent the kids to a babysitter for some mommy and daddy time. And she says that she loves him, and that she says that he said he gonna get a hotel for the weekend for them after hitting up his daddy's birthday party, which is Darnell. And then Darnell not shimmying over, running, not shimmying over to Tiff. And then Tiff getting the nursery put together by, get this y'all, by both Nook and Vic. And Nook reading the directions, and then he asked for Vic to pass him a screwdriver so he could screw, the rails in for the baby bed. And then Vic tells Tiffany, or Tiff, that he been reading baby books so he can speak her language and see how she gonna be feeling when she have the baby. And pretty much they just getting closer together. Then Nook says, Ninja, you ain't his daddy. Then says it takes, and then Vic says it takes a village to raise a child as a father, as his father was unalive. And then he just pretty much told him, if you're gonna try to boss up to me and tell me this and this and this and that, then it takes a village to raise a child. And he said, yeah, he ain't his father. You ain't his father. Trying to son him. And he was like, his father was unalived. And then that made him look a certain way. And then, Alicia gonna come in the room looking at Nuck. Well, a watchful eye. Because remember what she told Tiffany? She told Tiffany, do not bring Nuck in her house. And what she do? And then Nuck putting them baby, she was looking at Nuck, and then she was putting them baby blankets on the thing. It's still. And she looking like with a watchful eye. And I'm talking about, when I tell you that the eye could have burned a hole in him, I burned a hole in him. And then Ethan is granted a nice visit by Brandon's cousin, asking for his moolah. And Ethan said, Ethan owed him 3 racks, and he is told that he has a few days because he pretty much said he don't have it. And he'll work it off, and he can get it for him in a week. Give him some time. Give him some time. Give him a week. Give him a week. BS. And then he says he has a few days. And he laughs while walking out. And then Keith comes out saying that he can't believe he's still gambling. And he didn't think that he would lose. And then Ethan said, well, he didn't think that he would lose, before asking how much is in the secret stash. And then that's when, Keith asked, that's when Ethan said, not 3 racks. And then Keith tells Ethan to borrow some of the secret stash money to get Brandon's brother off his tail. And just, he getting some more money from Emmett's stash. He gonna know about it. He tight with his money. He manages his money. And then Papa is letting Charles and Ezekiel, and also, that he needs to have Pastor to take the picture down of Sarah and him. And Papa was pretty much saying that it just don't look good. And then Pastor Ezekiel had read it the wrong way. And he said, oh, no, it don't look good for your image. It don't look good for your image. I said, Ninja, he trying to help you at the end of the day. And then I'm like, come on. People trying to help people, and they not trying to assist, and they not even trying to help. Take the help. And then Keisha is told by Emmett that all she does is prioritize them kids. Now, mind you, he told her all she do is prioritize the kids. And I'm like, he obviously don't understand. He don't understand. And he told her to just put the phone down. And she says, it will be hard to not, look out for her kids, because they called about the babysitter called about baby run its medicine, and she was trying to get back to Emmett and ask him, did he put the medicine in there? And then they was just talking. She was talking to the babysitter, and he was like, I'm like, get over it. Y'all got kids. That's what a mother does, my boy. And then we running back over to Alicia, setting Tiffany straight about Nuck being in her house while making some tea in her tea kettle. I said, And she says that he took her glory away. And unalive Doodah before she could even get the chance to do it. She talking about Nook now. And that's why she don't want him in her house. Because he took her glory away and unalived Doodah before she could do it. I said, Alicia like power, y'all. Remember that. And then she says that, of course. And then Tiffany says that she was too busy running her mouth. That's and not instead of pulling the trigger. And then she says that if she needs some male attention, that she does not mind if Vic coming over. And Tiff gonna say, Rob was the love of my life. You know how she did. Rob was the love of my life. He was the love of my life. I don't need no man. That's how she be thinking. And then Alicia says, that's what you say now. I said, if she don't know these people like she say she know these people, I'll just holler. And then Emmett is, of course, hosting the skate party for his daddy. And he said that his title is Baby Daddy on the ones and twos. Good baby daddy on the ones and twos. I said, all right now. All right. And his dad tells him that his mama and his relationship is good because he listens and is patient and listens to his woman, and he just, pours into his mama, Jada. He pours into her, and he's just pretty much saying that he needs to learn from that because he knew that him and Tiffany, Keisha, wasn't on the up and up, and he know his son. He was just pretty much telling him it takes a relationship, takes listening, understanding, patience, and that he don't have. Y'all know he don't. And then he also said when he got her back that he is never let her letting her go, never ever. And then we running to Scary Reg talking to Dante about ninjas wish to unalive him. And Dante tells her that old girl sitting with him, he tells her that she's still mad because he had, Dante always keep him a girl on the ones and twos all that time. Y'all know how Dante roll. Hey, Corey Hardrick. But I love him, y'all. And then, he pretty much telling the girl that she just got an attitude because I smashed her girl. She said that was my sister. And then he just pretty much telling him, Dante tells her that, of course, she's still mad about that he had another bitch. And then she said, bitch, that was my sister. And he wanted her to go to the car to get Reg, to get, the mushrooms and all this stuff. And he was just chopping it up, telling Reg that it's the next best thing popping and he should try some. And then he said, I can't be doing all that. I can't be doing all that. You know how Reg is. And then, as soon as Dante said he gonna go to the car, then, oh Lord. And then he went to the car, and Reg, of course, moves in saying that y'all are funny and that you spicy. And are y'all together? And she gonna say, we talking. And she say, she free to do whatever she wants. And Dante comes back breaking the thing up. And she was pretty much giving Reg the okay. So move on in on it. And Dante comes back in and he breaking stuff up and he bringing what, he told Reg to try. And then going back to Brandy's brother, his name is Hannibal. His name is Hannibal. Don't let me call him Brandy's cousin no more. So Hannibal gets his money from Damien, and then Reg asking Damien what he betting on before looking at his hands, his fingernails. And he said, what the? He said, is you? And he said, no, it's eccentric. I'm eccentric. I said, all right then, yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said. Damien just weird, but he ain't what y'all want to think that he is. And then Lene and Bakari are at the hospital, and he is scared to pieces. And outside, the hospital room, her brother. And then he asks if Jamal is okay. And she says that they don't know yet. And he gives her flowers. And she says, you need to leave. You need to come. You need to leave. And then he said, can he come stay with her? And she says she says that she needs time to herself, which is rightfully so, because it's too many moving pieces. And it's like he can get her in a whirlwind of trouble, even though he say he love her, which he do, and she love him too. However, she had to go by and do right by her brother's wishes, and her brother said that he dangerous, and Bakari is dangerous. Unwillingly, he wouldn't let nothing happen to Lene, but and then it pans to Alicia, and she meets up with the judge, not panning and running over to Alicia, and she meets up with the judge, and she says that she wants her grandson to be able to walk on the street safely. And she says that she wants him behind bars. And she says she needs a government name, because she gonna do it for Alicia, of course. The judge, which is her friend, and Professor Gardner's, wife, Dwayne Wayne's wife. And she said that she needs the government name. And she asked, what is his name? And she said, Reg. And she said, okay, I need the government name so that I can run him in the system to see about, if I can see about getting him, behind bars. And then Alicia said that she will get it to her as soon as possible. Alicia liked that. And then Reg tries to boss up. Going back, Lord, to Reg tries to boss up to Jake. I'm tired. I'm really tired of Reginald. I'm tired of Reginald. He gonna tell Jake that you let that light-skinned dude punk you out and all that stuff. And I'm like, Jake, you gave Reg the wrong answer. Reginald, the wrong answer. And Reg just got it. And he just got it in his head that he don't know who tried to unalive him. And he just always want to say it was Shad. 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 And then Jake said, leave Shad out of it. Then he told Reg to stop acting. Reg told him to stop acting soft. He talking to Jake to stop acting soft. And then a little bitch, Jake said that he needs to lay low. He really did. He really did. And Reg ain't nobody. He say, ain't nobody gonna try to take my life and get away with it. And then Jake said, dude, I did try to take my life and get away with it. And he said, Jake said, dude, I did. And Reg said, and he is unalive. And Jake said, not cause of you. And then Reg said that he want Alicia and Nook unalive. I said, ooh, spicy. Ew. And the happy times, Darnell thinks at his little party, his little skate party, and Darnell thinks he's thankful to be alive. And all his kids too. Well, most of them. He says. And then poor Jada has a lot on her mind because of the news that she got from her doctor. And then it panned from there. And then Shy rose up, Reg rolls up on Shad, aka Rashad. And Reg asked there, where is it? Where is his loyalty? Where does his loyalty lie? With Trig? He said, you still talking to that ninja? And then he said that he appreciates how they used to, Reg said he appreciates how they used to look out for him, when he was younger and when he was growing up. Then he actually says, but it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. And that's why I'm like, ding, 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 ding. It was not good enough. And then Reg actually looks like he's got a heart. And we running over to the judge and Detective Toussaint and saying that does she know a Reginald Taylor? And she said, yeah. And judge says, bring him to me alive and well, and then I will see to it that your son is free. And Detective Toussaint said, I understand. And Emmett asked, panning back to Emmett, he asked what happened to the money in the safe. And then Emmett says that he asked, Ethan, what happened to the money in the safe? And then he said, I'm so sorry. I had to take it. I had to take it. Then he said that he fired. And then he said, I need my job. I need my job. I need my job. He said, but you were still from your own brother. You were still from your own brother. And then, of course, like the little, I ain't gonna call Ethan a sissy, but he was giving a little sissy vibe for what he gonna do. And he said, well, it actually wasn't my idea. It was actually Keith's idea. And then Emmett, he marched, not walked, not ran, marched out there to where Keith was mopping the floor to fire Keith. And then he said, all right. And then, of course, then Keith said, he did, mudged him, knucked him, pointed him in his head. And he said, you a bitch. You a bitch. You on thin ice. You on thin ice. And I said, ooh, he got a lot to worry about, huh? You got a lot to worry about, my boy. And then running to Alicia, looking like Brandy. Shy telling her that he went to meet with Reg and all that. And she said, well, why would you do that? She said, I want Reg. I want him behind bars. And then he told her, he said, you not God. And who told you that you could do that? Who want that? She said, who want that? And he was like, who want that though? Who want that? And who you gonna tell? Who can do that? She said, who want that? And she said, me. And then he said, you not the maker above. And then she said, huh. And then, Shad, he says that, and then Shad said that he walks out the door and he said he can't do this no more. And then, she sat on her, looking like Brandy from Thin Line Between Love and Hate on them steps. And then it pans over to Tiff and Nook talking, here we go again. And she's saying that she can not be around Smoke, of course, because she's pregnant. And then he said, okay, I'm so sorry. I just haven't been around a pregnant woman in a long time. And then he says that he just don't want to do what he doing no more. And then he just was pretty much just asking her, like, what can he do? And she said, anything is possible. And then Nook runs to Pastor Ezekiel saying that he is scared. And I said, y'all, he's scared. I've been telling y'all that he was soft And he had a heart when he was offering to take the trash out for Tiffany. I said, he got a heart. And then, on Mother's Day, he took the stuff to the grave. And then he told Ezekiel that he was scared. And then he asked, will he go public with his clear woman? And then he just said, I want prayer. He said, can he pray with him? And then running to Jamal, Lene, and Dom. And I said, this is a blessed moment. Because running to Jamal and Lene and Dom, and they are blessed that Jamal is turning his head while a gospel song comes on, singing, praying, Lord. I said, and then Ezekiel asked, he asked Sarah now, clear lady. He asked her, why did she post the pictures online? And then she tells him to, call her when he's serious and when he figures out what he wants. And I'm like, okay, girl. Yes, girl. I know, because he needs to figure out. He needs to do that. And I said, he about to make me mad. I said, don't make me mad. Don't make me mad. Because I'm like, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. And then we run into the last scene. And Jada and Darnell. And she tells him the news that her cancer is bad. And he says that they can pray. I mean, they beat it. He said that we beat it. And you survived. And then we can beat it again. And she just pretty much says that it ain't nothing that can be done. And she said, pretty much saying, I don't know. It ain't nothing. I mean, and they just started praying. They started praying. They played Flower. This was very emotional for me, y'all. This is the end of Shy season 7 episode. Let me go back to the episode. This was real emotional for me. And I'm just gonna tell y'all, I was in that room crying now. I was in the room crying. Season 7, episode 7. Unfinished business. It's some unfinished business. But this was just so sad to me because it's like cancer and stuff like that. And just to think that I said, Lena, don't do it. You done made it possible for, Jamal to, be alive. And then I meant to tell y'all, Lynn Whitfield, she did come to the hospital and she did pray for his doctor's bills. And she meant well. She wasn't trying to unalive. She wasn't trying to shoot at Jamal. Nothing like that. I told y'all that. But she paid for the doctor's bills. And Lene was saying, we don't need your money. And then Dawn just said, thank you. Thank you. And then she said, I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back. And then she said, just consider it a gift. And when she said that, I said, we turning over a new leaf. We are turning over a new leaf, Felicia. I hope that Detective Toussaint's son get out. And I hope that Reg go to prison. I hope he goes behind bars. And that's the show. And that was season 7, episode 7, Unfinished Business. And see y'all later, YouTube. I'm gonna get this uploaded soon. Bye. Have a good day. and YouTube, that was the video. And what I want y'all to do is like, comment, and subscribe. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, YouTube family.